interesting week last week, Holy Week. And there were a couple of competing outrage topics. The first was Donald Trump. Have we ever mentioned him before on the podcast? I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look up maybe like back episode 135 or something. Donald Trump is selling a Bible. Our friend Esau McCauley, we should have him on the show, wrote a piece for New York Times last week called "There's No Such Thing as an American Bible." Obviously not having seen the Bible that Trump is selling, which is in fact an American
Bible.
Bible. Yeah, the Bible that Trump's selling includes the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the Pledge of Allegiance, and according to the SNL Open, your Miranda rights are also included. And the lyrics of Mr. Greenwood's song, "God Bless the USA." Now, this was a product that was proposed several years ago, and Zondervan was going to publish it, and then there was an outrage, and they dropped the idea. Am I not correct? Or is that the Patriots
Thomas
Bible?
Nelson. Yeah, Thomas Nelson published the Patriots Bible many years ago. I wrote a couple pieces about it back when I was at CT and talking about how, similar to what Esau, you said in your new piece, like this is just so bizarre. But now we've got the added layer of the Trump dynamic onto this one.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
So was the Bible drawn to Trump, or was Trump drawn to the Bible? Whose people reached out to whose people here, do you think?
I think that it seems to be, if you do the frequently asked questions, they said this is not for the political campaign, but it's a paid endorsement to Trump's, LLC or whatever. And so it seems to be the case that they must have reached out to Trump and say, we will pay you to endorse this Bible. That seems to be what, I doubt Trump was like, man, you know what I really want to do? I want to endorse a Bible. And so I think that it's on the face of it, it looks like they reached out to Trump and Trump said yes. Now, the other thing I want to correct you on, it is not all of the lyrics to Lee Greenwood's song, "God Bless the USA." It's the handwritten chorus. So I don't know if they're photocopying like one handwritten chorus and sending it out, or he handwrites the chorus to "God Bless the USA" in every Bible. But you don't get the whole song. You just get a handwritten chorus from that song.
Okay. So in writing in the New York Times, this Esau McCauley person says, whether this Bible is an example of Christian nationalism, I will leave to others. It is at least an example of Christian syncretism, a linking of certain myths about American exceptionalism and the Christian faith. This is the American church's consistent folly, thinking that we are the protagonists in a story that began long before us and whose main character is, in fact, the Almighty. So we're putting ourselves you think we're centering ourselves in the story when we make an American Bible?
Well, I'm trying to imagine the logic behind the production of this particular Bible. And it seems to be the case that if you put two texts uninterpreted beside one another, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Bible, you just put them together, you seem to be implying that those two things cohere in a certain way. In other words, they're good companions. You're not saying, hey, let's look at the Bible and see how the Bible critiques the Constitution, right? So you're saying that you're not really addressing. So it seems to be the case that you're saying these texts that are now the central founding documents of the United States and the pop song are, by being appended to the end of the Bible, are a continuation of that narrative. That the grand narrative of redemptive history climaxes in the creation of the American nation state. Now they wouldn't go out and say that, right? But the idea that we're gonna put the flag on the Bible, so the Bible is literally wrapped in the flag, and at the end of the Bible is American stuff. It's not a wild take to assume that we're making a certain. So, for example, if you want to say, I've not read the Mexican Constitution, so I can't speak to it. But someone has put the Mexican Constitution at the back end of the Bible, Americans would be like, that's odd. But the fact that some of us wouldn't think it's odd to have our Constitution in it seems to imply that we think that our Constitution is somehow special. And maybe, I don't want to say inspired, but maybe people think it's inspired. I don't know.
Okay, here's my question, though. Let's take nationalism out of this. Let's take patriotism out of it. Let's take America out of it. When you just look at the Bible market and you recognize how many identities there are that are Bibles marketed to them, whether it's teenage girls or boys or moms or veterans. You go on down the list. There's a Bible for everybody. I'm surprised there aren't Bibles yet for like sports teams, like a Cubs Bible or a Bears Bible, whatever. Like, it's not surprising to me that somebody would go, oh, you know what? American patriotism is sort of an identity market. Let's make a Bible for that too. Yeah. So I'm offended by the idea of wrapping the Bible in a flag, but should I also be offended when somebody wraps a Bible in an identity that's not strictly political, but it's still a cultural identity that we should not wrap the Bible in?
Now, I am not like going to be one defending American publication practices as it relates to Christianity. But I would say the following. We have to at least acknowledge the potential distinction. So if you want to say, I'm going to do a student study Bible, which that means that the content in the notes are directed towards a particular population to help them follow the text better, right? So even if you want to say that gets a little bit manipulative, right? But what you're trying to do at least is to say, there are unique challenges that these people might be experiencing because they're mom, because they're dad, because they're whatever it is. Then we're going to think as we read through the Bible how these things might challenge or inform how they live as Christians. The difference between that and the Trump Bible is there is no real attempt to say, here's how the Christian narrative might inform our life as an empire. In other words, if they were saying we're going to have a Bible that deals with the fact that we're the richest, biggest country as far as the military, we have all of these resources, and we're going to write these notes to see how the Bible forces us to think about how we use our influence. I would be fine. Nobody's going to complain about that.
That's a good idea. I think that's what this is. I think that's what this is, Esau. I think this is a tool for critiquing the American way of life through the lens of Scripture. I think. I haven't read it.
Okay, obviously I agree, Esau, but I think that some of those identity marketed Bibles carry an implied endorsement. So, for example, there are Bibles out there for business leaders, which is implying that, the way contemporary American society engages in business and capitalism and all that is endorsed by the Bible. And you can make an argument either way there, but there's an implied endorsement of that. Yeah. Or even there's so many different Bibles for husbands or wives or couples or whatever it is. And it's an endorsement that the modern understanding of the nuclear family and romantic marriage as we've developed post-Victorian England, like that's a biblical understanding of marriage when we're bringing so many of our cultural values and just assuming the Bible endorses all these things. And I get it's a more extreme version when you put the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all that at the end of a Bible, but there's still a lot of that going on in these other identity-based Bible versions.
So I think what you're asking is there significant sections of Christian publishing whose main goal is not the piety of the believer, but the acquisition of money? And the answer to that question is yes. But what I would be hesitant to do is there's certain times in the news where there is a particular story that gives you the opportunity to reflect broadly. So we have a patriotic Bible, but let's talk about the corruption in the Bible industry. Sure, but today we have a presidential candidate who's hawking a Bible, and so I agree that the publishing industry is in some sense broken. One of the things that's been hard for me to figure out is, and you talked about this in your own context, when you begin to when you come on the other side of the machine, and you realize that some of the people who you thought were your partners in ministry, I'm not talking about any publisher, just you meet tons of people. So it's not anybody I work with. And you begin to realize that some of these conversations, they're not asking you, how can this book that we may or may not sign for you, how can it help the church? It's how can it make money? And I got to go, no, I thought we were trying to do this Jesus thing. And how much your personal, and this is not to make me or anyone a saint, but if you don't have a moral compass in any form of publishing, then the industry will pull you towards the maximization of profit. Yeah. And if you're saying that, are there evidence that this happens in Bibles? Yes. There's the reason that a lot of stuff that I see in the Christian section at Barnes and Noble, I just kind of shake my head at. And so, yes, that's true. But in this case, what was that bell? What do I get for a bell?
That's taco.
Oh, the product placement.
That's our product placement bell. You mentioned the brand.
Oh, I didn't.
You mentioned the brand.
Okay, then. I mentioned a brand. I thought that might have been the case. But anyways, what I was saying is that when I see that stuff in those stores, I kind of shake my head. But I don't know if this is the opportunity or this is the right season to say, is Trump? I can say this part. Trump has paid enough attention to the Christian market to know the rules. And he knows that there is no line that you can't cross if you somehow plausibly tie it to the Bible.
Right.
So there's one thing that you can say is that Trump is someone who pays attention to what Christians do and who figured that I could put out a super problematic Bible and nobody's going to get mad because there's so many other problematic Bibles.
That's why I thought it would be funny if this Bible, which includes the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Pledge of Allegiance, if he just included his marriage vows, it would be one collection of everything he's violated in a convenient volume. And the irony is in this, but this product, everything in this Bible, it's a King James version and everything else is all public domain. This is all freely available content to anyone, anywhere. And it costs nothing to put this all together. And he's selling, I think it's $60 a piece for this thing.
Well, he's not. He's the publisher is whoever the publisher. Here's my question. Is what we've learned here that Donald Trump will endorse anything if you offer him money and he needs money? Could we pay him to endorse the Holy Post podcast and then all his followers would start listening to the podcast?
I would. I don't know if I don't have a vote as just like the guy who may one day do a podcast, but I'm going to pray that that's a decision that we don't make, that we don't spend our meager resources doing that. But actually,
it's something Stephen Colbert would do that, or John Oliver.
Yeah.
They would do it. All right, I'm going to offer Trump $1 million to endorse my show and see if he'll.
But I think that actually he saw. I mean, it's really hard to judge the interior motivation of someone who you don't know. But what I want to say is, from the outside, it looks like he got 2 wins. He would further endear himself to a segment of his base, and he would make money. So I don't think that he would endorse anything. I think that he saw the opportunity to make a little cash. Hey, sorry, can I ask you this question? How much could they possibly be paying him to do this?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm guessing he's getting a cut of each of these Bibles.
Maybe. Let's look into it. Let's put people. We have staff now. Staff, go find out how much Trump got paid to endorse a political Bible. Okay, can I move on?
Because he has like a $400 million judgment against him.
Right.
Yeah. And I can't imagine Lee Greenwood is so flush with cash that he can give a big enough one-time fee. So it just seems to me be an odd decision to endorse something with maybe a low economic ceiling.
How much do you think he possibly made off his sneakers stunt a month ago? He's just doing the stunt of the month.